Okay, please start. Mohammed.
Okay, a moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome to join our one-day workshop on digitization of historical cities in Egypt and Japan, which is organized by a research project of Qaitbay Citadel, visualizing the main coastal fortification of medieval Alexandria, Egypt. That is led by Professor Mona Gamaluddin, Dean of EECE Egypt in Egypt, Japan University of Science and Technology, and me as Muhammad Sulaiman at Disaster Mitigation for Urban Cultural Heritage Institute in Irtimeka University and National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics in Nariaj, Egypt, which is supported by Art Research Center and International Joint Digital Archiving Center for Japanese Art and Culture, ARC and IJAC in Irtimeka University in Japan. Welcome everybody, and basically I would like to start with sharing a promo video about our project. So please.
Mohammed, basically no sounds?
Sound.
No sounds.
No, sound is working.
No, we can't.
Really?
Yeah, probably when sharing the screen, you check the sounds.
Okay.
Well, we can't.
Maybe we can share it again, but after checking the sound in the break, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And now let's start with a talk from Professor Keiji Yano at Irtimeka University. Please, Yano Sensei.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. So welcome to the one-day workshop, Digitalization of Historical City in Egypt and Japan. My name is Keiji Yano, Professor of Geography and GIS Science at the Irtimeka University. It's a great honor to have you all here. I guess I just hear from Mohammed, probably over 30 participants we have today. So this workshop is organized by Dr. Mohammed Soliman, who has been JSPS, Japan Society for the Promotion Science, postdoctoral fellow for 2 years, starting from December 2019. Just as the effects of COVID-19 were restricting movement within the country and preventing adequate research activities, Mohammed and I have done a lot of collaborative research at ARC and DMUCH at the Irtimeka University. Mohammed has participated in present at many national and international conferences on related topics. His research topics are extensively including geodesign and map research with a focus on Alexandria. For example, Gallery of Alexandria, he created the galleries of Alexandria's historical maps and also Geodesign Alexandria 2013 through the Zoom. He organized a couple of geodesign workshop through the Zoom. Today's workshop is also one of the research topics for which he was awarded a research grant from ARC. Initially, one of his original goal was build a virtual Alexandria, similar to the virtual Kyoto that I am developing. So after this, I will give a brief introduction of virtual Kyoto, and I hope to able to continue to build virtual Alexandria in the future. I hope all participants will have a meaningful time and lively discussion. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Yano Sensei. And now I would like to hear from Professor Mona Gamaluddin. So please, Professor Mona.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. I welcome you all on the occasion of the one-day workshop on digitization of historical cities in Egypt and Japan. My name is Mona Gamaluddin. I am Professor of Environmental Engineering, Dean of the School of Natural Resources, Environment, Chemical and Petrochemical Engineering. I want to thank Professor Yano and Dr. Suleiman for the good collaboration. Our cooperation at Sumaken University and Egypt-Japan University of Science and Technology, EJUST, is aiming at achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2030. Wish you all a fruitful sessions and fruitful discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mona. So, and now we'd like to hear from Professor Gad Al-Qadi, President of NARIASH. So please.
Good morning, everybody, and afternoon for our friends from Japan. It's my pleasure and honor to give a welcome address to this one-day workshop. Basically, digitizing the world heritage is one of the most important issues that we are working currently in NARIASH, and together with our colleague from Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities and other partners. Nevertheless, you know, currently on a public media and social media as well, as a result of ongoing discussion during COP26, the effect of global warming and rising of sea level that may affect many cities on the shoreline, especially Alexandria, that was mentioned by Prime Minister of England. However, and also, as you know, Alexandria has a big part of sinking cities. Those very valuable archaeological remains under seawater. We at NARIASH are working together with our partner using, of course, all available geophysical techniques, either onshore or offshore, and recently for digitizing and virtual reality techniques, including photogrammetry, laser scanner. We're also digitizing and recording a lot of heritage sites. We had a very large project at medieval Cairo, and we produced some publications. One of them was user manual for application of digital technology in heritage sites. Nevertheless, ongoing projects at Great Pyramids of Giza, at Hawara, Fayoum, another one at Fela Temple at Aswan, and the last but not least at Abu Simbel, second Ramses temple. In fact, Egypt has a lot of archaeological sites that undergoing on risk due to either groundwater seepage or climatic changes or urbanizations. Without collaboration with all interesting parties and institutions, nothing can be saved. These archaeological sites is much valuable for heritage mankind, not only for Egypt only, which is considered as one part of the national income to Egypt as well. And as Professor Mena mentioned, one of the main goals of SDGs is to work on heritage sites, maximize the benefit of available technologies, including virtual reality. I think we are in good position through this multilateral collaboration to save these archaeological sites. Today in the program of this workshop, we'll have one presentation about our some application at Old Cairo. I believe this is one case that we need to work together for many other places. I wish you a very fruitful discussion and workshop, and let's work to have a very strong conclusion and recommendation to be submitted to interested parties, including Ministry of Tourism and Archaeology in Egypt, the main end users or the main partner for these technologies as well. Thank you very much, and thank you, Professor Yano, Dr. Suleiman, Dr. Mona, for organizing such wonderful workshop.
Thank you so much, Professor Gad. And actually, personally, as archaeologist, I'm so glad to hear from all of you that we have different backgrounds and measures that we need to collaborate to digitize or even to save or rescue cultural heritage at risk, even natural or man-made disaster regarding global warming issue and so on. So now, if you all participants, please, if you don't mind, we would like to have a group photo. So please, could you turn on your camera if you don't mind? Okay.
Still some people didn't open their camera.
I fear Professor Gad, they don't like.
It's okay. No.
Please, is there anybody else who would like to turn on his camera?
I think no.
Okay, so
cheer.
Jesus. Okay, done.
Okay, thank you.
And now we would like to start our first session with Yano Sensei as a moderator for this session. So please, Yano Sensei, could you receive the floor?
Sure. Can you hear my slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. The first session, we will have 3 papers. So I will do chairing and as well as I present my paper. So, okay. So this is today's schedule. So already we have a little bit behind, but each presentation 20 minutes and 5 minutes talk, and following the 5 minutes Q&A. So first is I do that. Okay. Hello again, everyone. So today I would like to talk about a big project of Virtual Kyoto briefly. So firstly, this slide shows the activity after launching Art Research Center, Ritsumeikan University in 1998. So Art Research Center is a very big and also a big powerful research center at Ritsumeikan University. So far we have got many big foundations from Ministry of Education. So now we are starting the international Joint Data Archive Center for Japanese arts and cultures. We call ARC IJAC. So just this joint center in Japan, just 7 centers, international 7 centers. So only one private university, as well as humanities and social science group. So today, I would like to especially virtual Kyoto project. This one project starting from the 2002, supported by 21st Century Center of Excellence, selected by Ministry of Education. Firstly, this project is a 5-year project, and following the next five years project. So totally 10 years, this big research project, and still continue to this research project. So we have many outcomes from virtual Kyoto. So, but today just we have 15 minutes time, 50 minutes. So I should show some project and the concept of virtual Kyoto briefly. So virtual Kyoto, this is integration of data contents of Japanese art and cultures, 4D GIS with time dimension. So we would like to create virtual Kyoto space. So like this one. So you know, Kyoto is an ancient capital starting from the late 8th century. We call Heian-kyo. So second speaker, Takeuchi-kun, he will present virtual Heian-kyo project. So we created a 3D space of virtual Kyoto with several time series like this one. So Japanese as a culture, including tangible and intangible content. So Art Research Center created many kind of data like this one. So also cultural contents has you know, location of time and space. So all data contents of cultural heritage, we can put on our virtual Kyoto 3D dimensional space like this one. So this is the first stage of virtual Kyoto. This is the starting from 2002, before Google Earth. Google Earth starting from 2005. So before Google Earth, we created a 3D city model like this one. So, and also we gathering many kind of geospatial information, like, you know, all the photo and also all the paints. And this one is, you know, ukiyo-e, like this one. So Art Research Center dataized many kind of data contents of cultural assets. So also, probably in the late 2000, new research field appears. So data humanities. So data humanities broadly known humanities computing like this one. So Art Research Center promoting data humanities research, especially for Japanese cultures. So purpose of virtual Kyoto is we created a historical virtual geographical environment. So which we can virtually travel over space and time in a Japanese historical city, Kyoto. Okay. So basically, this slide shows material and the source for creating virtual Kyoto. So basically, we gathering many kind of maps, and as well as picture and the landscape picture and the photos, and as well as some document, including the address and like this one. So actually, we in Kyoto there are many kind of geospatial data like this one. So still we are gathering the many kind of geospatial data like this one. So my research background is geography and GIS and GI science. So we created many kind of data maps, all the data maps like this one. So using the GIS, we can overlay created like this one. So this is a basic concept for creating the virtual Kyoto like this one. So as well, this slideshow almost 200 years ago, Kyoto area. So this one we call Edo era, and origin of Kyoto like this one. So the city area of Kyoto a little bit changing. So we need many kind of geospatial data based on like these maps. Okay, so the first challenge of virtual Kyoto starting from 2002, we created a 3D model. This is we created a 2000, around the 2000. So including almost 400,000 buildings like this one, no texture maps. But if we have time and money, we can create a more detailed 3D model like this one. So just this is a first model of virtual Kyoto. After that, we focus on the kyomachi. Kyomachi is a traditional residential house, wooden house. So the damage of World War II in Kyoto, we have still many kind of kyomachi which built before World War II. So still we have many kind of old buildings, not like Alexandria. But firstly, we survey, big survey, large-scale survey of kyomachi in Kyoto city area. So this is a typical traditional townhouse kyomachi like this one. So we this is a very narrow and quite deep. So the frontage is very narrow. So but very deep road like this one. So this is a frontage. For example, just 20 meters, and but the depth would be about 60 meters, 60 meters. So quite deep, like this one. So and also probably Mohammed showed something. This is this is only camera, 3D surrounding camera using like this one. So recently we created like this one, so we can explore the old machia like this one. Okay. So this is a large-scale survey using the volunteer like this one. So totally, we find about 40,000 47,000 material through the large-scale survey like this one. So after that, we created a 3D model like this one. So this is the Kyo material distribution of Kyo material like this one. So and the 3D model creating like this one, and also changing the situation landscape of Kyo material like this one. And also we have Western style modern buildings like this one. So many in Kyoto, many kind of Western style buildings built before World War II. And also we identified 2,000 Western style buildings in Kyoto area. So we created a 3D model of Western style buildings as well as Kyo material like this one. So and also, you know, in Kyoto we have many shrine and temple. So already we have the location. Some World Heritage one we created more detailed like this one. Okay. So, but we can't show the past landscape model. So we created many kind of material. For example, you know, this one is a satellite. This is aerial photo, all aerial photo like this one. So we, from aerial photo, we can identify the location of distribution of Kyo material like this one. So this is the oldest aerial photo in Kyoto, 1928. So we can identify the shape of Kyo material like this one. So we can understanding the changing of distribution of Kyo material like this one. So we created a 3D model, just changing of urban landscape of Kyo material like this one. So now it's almost mature, the city center, the gone like this one. So, and much more older, we have no photo. So we can, we must use picture maps like this one. So, and as well, we can use the ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e means wooden print at that time. So Art Research Center, we have many kind of ukiyo-e, totally over 500,000 ukiyo-e digitalization. We Art Research Center providing the database of ukiyo-e. And also we can use Rakuju Byobu inside and outside of Kyoto like this one. It's quite detailed bird view picture of Kyoto area. So we can create a much more use this one. So this one is almost 400 years ago Kyoto area from the Rakuju Byobu like this one. So something we can put people from the picture. And also at that time we have big castle, Nijo Castle. Now it's gone after 1950. So, but we created Nijo Castle like this one. So this is finally we reached to Heian-kyo, and before 12th century like this one. So regarding Heian-kyo, well, maybe second speaker will show details. So I should skip like this one. Sorry. Almost the time. I must finish it, my talk. So some skip. And also, if you visit this website, you can see the you can see the interactive 3D model like this one, the web through the web as well. This is a more detailed and comparison currently and past landscape like this one. So this is a new technology. So this is a more detailed one. No. So if just topics. Also, we created a VR and AR model through the smartphone. So like this one, the visitor in Kyoto very enjoy the past urban landscape of Kyoto, and we showed something. Skip. Okay. Okay, and I should sum up now. So virtual Kyoto should be a platform for any research to deal with the space-time of Kyoto. So this digital museum project calls for in-depth collaboration among the various humanities, information scientists, museum professionals, and content holders. This project is a part of digital humanities. So finally, we expect the system will work as a tool for reinforce industry, academia, and government collaboration. So if you have interest in, please visit, for example, Google Scholar, put the virtual Kyoto and Yano. Okay. And you can find many output paper in English. We wrote many kind of paper up on virtual Kyoto. You can find virtual Kyoto project through the Google Scholar like this. Okay, thank you very much. So I'm finished. Okay. And now it's just comment and question, please. This is just 20 minutes. So, and probably still we have few minutes for question and time, question and comment, please. No question? A chat. And for a question and comment, please remove the mute and directly ask me.
I also say maybe Dr. Sekihiro would like to ask something.
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I'm really glad to see it like this. You are a significant researcher about Kyoto City. So I am an archaeologist of the Kyoto Archaeological Research Institute. So really interested in this kind of the research. And I have a question. So do you have a plan, future plan, to add more the civil festival and the civil lifestyles?
Civil lifestyle and modern activities, you mean?
Not near modern or the middle age.
Middle age, okay. Actually, middle age a little bit quite difficult to get geospatial data at that time. So just modern era, pre-modern era, we have many kind of geospatial data, and as well, Heian-kyo era, and we have many archaeological sites. So we can use it, but middle age and probably 11th century. Around the 11th century, we have no or no data. If we can find geospatial data, including the maps and the picture, and as well as some all the text, we can we would like to include all data-related materials at that time. So already we have the platform. So welcome any kind of data.
Okay, so when we can prepare something, I will inform you as soon as possible.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Another question or comment? Okay, now it's some. This is the past. Okay, thank you. Some comment, and also after near future, we would like to some collaborate for creating the virtual Alexandria. So I think the Mohammed already have some technique and cutting edge techniques for creating the 3D models. so he should create the virtual Alexandria like virtual Kyoto. I hope.
Actually, sincerely, I'm doing my best.
And also, he will return back to Alexandria soon. That will be easy.
Sorry, but the technology is existing here, so so it's very difficult.
Okay, and we should move on to next speaker. Takeuchi-kun, please preparing your presentation. And he's a graduate student, master course student at ARC, Nijmegen University. So please start.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me and see the screen? Okay. Start presentation. This is Mikhail Takeuchi, Nijmegen University. A presentation title, Virtual Heiankyo on WebGIS. Yeah. The contents of today's presentation as shown. In recent years, WebGIS available through the internet have become popular among the general public. It had been applied in the field of archaeology and varied cultural properties. Today, I will introduce the trend of archaeological site map in Japan to digital maps. After that, I will present how to digitally map Heiankyo, the ancient capital of Japan using GIS. The first site map in Japan to show the extent and location of archaeological sites as accurately as possible and to make it available to the public was the National Archaeological Map, Zengoku Iseki Chizu, by the Committee for the Protection of Cultural Properties. These were published on a prefectural basis. In response to the increasing number of developments that lead to large-scale destruction of archaeological sites, the map was designed to protect archaeological sites by making the extent of sites known through site maps. This was also published on a prefectural basis. After that, site maps in each region were published by prefecture and municipalities. Since these were publications, the general public was able to view them at the library or museum. The geographic coverage and number of archaeological sites changes with daily surveys. Therefore, developers need to go to the local government boards of education to check the latest site maps. Since the 2000s, some regions have begun to make their site maps available on the internet. For example, Kyoto Prefecture, where the Heiankyo is located. has released sitemaps on WebGIS. It is convenient to check where the archaeological sites are located. Just click on the map and the information of the site will be displayed. But functionality that allows users to refer to past excavation history is not implemented. It is useful to judge the necessity of investigation if there are information such as the excavation history in the adjacent area and the depth of the remaining surface. In Japan, there are 47 prefectures. More than half of the prefectures release their site maps on the internet in some way, and 27 prefectures release their site maps as WebGIS. On the other hand, the number of prefectures that publish their site maps as publication is decreasing. Yeah. The publication of site map is changing from paper media to digital maps. In recent years, a site map have been prepared on a prefecture and municipal basis. In July this year, the National Research Institute for Cultural Properties released the Soran WebGIS that enables seamless viewing of archaeological sites all over Japan, beyond the boundaries of prefecture and municipalities. I'm one of the developers of this system. You can view archaeological sites all over Japan, and the Haiji site, which is being excavated mainly by the National Research Institute for Cultural Properties, has a wealth of contents. For example, you can search for wooden tablet, Mokkan. The wooden tablet database has already been developed and it is linked to WebGIS. The wooden tablet Mokkan is a wooden object of various sizes and shapes with notice written in India ink. It is possible to search by the word written on the wooden tablet. Based on I would like to present the construction of WebGIS of Heian-kyo site, which we are currently working on. Here, the map also shows the central area of Kyoto City and the Heian-kyo square grid pattern. Heian-kyo was the capital of Japan for more than 1,000 years. Within its area, approximately 23.4 square kilometers, many excavations have been carried out in various forms since the early post-war years. Recently, the number of rescue excavations has greatly exceeded that of academic excavation in Japan. And the Heian-kyo site is no exception. In particular, where the Heian-kyo site was located has been urbanized and a lot of development has taken place. Since a lot of development will take place, not only full-scale excavation, but also trial trench survey and archaeological construction monitoring are being conducted according to the scale of development and the area. In order to manage and publish the survey records of such excavations, it is effective to digitize and construct GIS database. In this time, Nagata of the Kyoto City Archaeological Research Institute created a database of excavation records related to the Heian-kyo site. Its metadata included the year of excavation, the survey organization, the title of the report, and an outline of the excavation. From the address information in that database, we convert it to geographic coordinates. With this, the excavation GIS database of the Heian-kyo site was established. Based on the information from this data, Ritsumeikan University has built a WebGIS by using ArcGIS Hub of S-Read ArcGIS Online. ArcGIS Hub can easily build an open data site for sharing data, and viewer can download registered data in a variety of geographic information file formats. In the field of archaeology, where the use of open data has been progressing in recent years, we assume that this kind of open data specific system will present an advanced case. Many trial trend surveys and archaeological construction monitoring have been carried out. Of course, since there are so many surveys, not all of them are being working on, but about 5,000 information are already included in WebGIS. We can expect this system to serve as a foundation for promoting archaeological research on the Heian-kyo site, with a vast amount of excavation results. In addition, as the user can know the specific excavation sites, the system would be useful in preliminary discussions and communication for future development and excavations. In Japan, more excavation reports have become open to the public, many of which are available through the internet. With a comprehensive database of archaeological site reports in Japan as one of the most representative ones. In Kyoto, for example, Kyoto City Archaeological Research Institute publishes its report on the internet. By incorporating URLs of these reports as attributes, we are creating an environment where detailed information on excavation are easily accessible. Here, the maps also show the full-scale excavation site distribution and the Heian-kyo square grid pattern. In 3 periods, Heian-kyo, the Heian Imperial Palace, located north of the center of the Heian-kyo site, has a particularly large number of excavations. Heian-kyo was not only the imperial residence, but also where state ceremonies were held. And since the Kyoto city recognized this area as an important archaeological site, it conducted many excavations. In the 1970s, many excavation sites were lined up in a straight line along Karasuma Street. This is a result of a series excavation associated with the city subway construction, and clearly shows that the site was selected due to social factors, namely urban development. Interpreting these sites from a social perspective and examining the excavation results and the ways in which the site was treated will give us an important perspective for future site management and research. Next, introduce story map. ArcGIS story maps helps us tell remarkable stories with custom maps that inform and inspire. Use our simple map marker to create custom maps to enhance your digital storytelling, or add text, photos, and videos to your existing ArcGIS web map and web scene to create an interactive narrative that's easy to publish and share. I am using story map system to introduce the facilities of Heian Palace, showing the WebGIS in conjunction with multimedia such as photos, increasing the level of understanding and clarity. This story map makes it easy to create content that is easy to understand in that respect. Currently, very few traces related to the Heian-kyo site remain above ground. We hope that the enhance of the WebGIS will lead to the progress of research on the Heian-kyo site and give back to society and public people. Thank you for listening.
Finish. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Anybody, question and comment, please. Could you put your site on chat? Open Heian-kyo website. Could you put URL?
Now had not open.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Um,
Coming soon. Open.
Anybody? Some comments and question, please. Hi, please.
Nice presentation, Takeuchi-san. So
Hi.
really glad to listening your good presentation. And I have a question to you. Where is the most impressive area in the Kyoto city for you?
Sorry, one more, sorry.
Please answer in English. 一番印象に残った京都市のエリアはありますか？あなたの研究で。
エリア、最強高校、最強ハイスクール、in this area, 西宮邸 is,
Please show some map.
some map, yes,
Could you show some map?
it means,
Sorry. Takeuchi-kun now creating the ArcGIS Online Hub. ArcGIS Online Hub is an integrated website for especially Heian-kyo archaeological sites. So it's very detailed one. So including the now I preparing the showing some maps, Takeuchi-kun.
I agree.
Okay, great.
Yeah. This area, 最強ハイスクールエリア、西宮邸 excavated. 西宮邸 is 平安京 in 平安京 important residence. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Please let me know the reason why you think 最強高校。
保存、remains of 平安京 site is good condition 残っていたな。
Oh.
遺跡が残っていたっていう、なんか両国。
Remained relics. How to say? Remained well. Remained the relics well.
Yes.
Is it right?
Okay.
先生いいですか今ので。
Yeah, probably because Takeuchi, how many archaeological sites in Kyoto City area?
京都シティエリア、
Totally.
京都シティ。
Totally, how many? 2,000? How
京都
many?
シオンリー京都シティ、
Oh, no. I mean the Heian-kyo area.
平安京エリア。site, excavation site is
how many?
8,000.
8,000. 8,000 archaeological site. And I think that Takeuchi-kun, this site, he selected this site because this site is Kyoto City Public High School. So Kyoto City government would like to protect archaeological site for building the high school. Probably just buildings excluding the important site, archaeological site. So, but many archaeological sites basically on private buildings. So quite difficult to keep the archaeological site. So public road, public land, the Kyoto local government keep some important archaeological site. So this is one example for protecting the archaeological site, I think. So probably it's okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Janssen said, please,
Yeah.
there is a question in chat box. So asking Professor or Dr. Khamis is asking if their geophysical measurements had been carried out in Heiankyo.
Geographies measurement.
Geophysics. I think so.
Measurement means law, local law. Mohammed.
Geophysical, geophysics.
Geophysical measurement. Oh,
Yes.
the survey.
Survey.
Okay.
GBR or electromagnetic and so on.
竹内君さ、実際に発掘調査をしたことありますかってことだと思うけど。
Yes. Not Heiankyo. Another area, excavation.
So actually, Takeuchi-kun, the background is an archaeologist, undergraduate level, I think. So he joined some work for archaeological site, I think. Okay. Mohammed, okay, and Mr.
Khamis.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Okay, and I would like to move on Mohammed talk. Is it okay? So last, and Mohammed is the last speaker in the first session. So before break. Okay, Mohammed, please start here.
Okay. Hello everyone again. So I'm sharing our contribution here for digitizing the some objects in Kyoto City Archaeological Museum collection in collaboration with my colleague Dr. Naoyo Sakihiro, Archaeological Director in Kyoto City Archaeological Research Institute, and also Takeuchi-san had participated with us in implementing and processing such as this contribution. Actually, this contribution is coming as a prototype for digitizing collection of Kyoto City Archaeological Museum or even Japanese culture heritage, basically in museums, in English. So actually, Japanese culture heritage is very interesting and it is attracting so many audience, but unfortunately, some we need some more interpretation in different language, basically English or even French. So this attempt had been carried out in collaboration with and supported by Kyoto City Archaeological Museum and also ARC Institute Research Center in Princeton University. So the first part will will be introduced by Dr. Nayo Sekihiro. So please.
Thank you for your introducing me, and I really appreciate to give a presentation on this workshop. Thank you, and go ahead.
Okay, I have already shared. Please, if you want to move to the next one, please let me.
The next one, please.
Okay.
Yes, we choose the digitizing three objects from the sites in Kyoto City. One is a vessel stand with miniature jars from the Tatsumi round mound tomb on the left hand of this map. The second is a gray glazed water pitcher from Kitashirakawa Haiji temple on the right hand of this map. And the third one is an ornamental ridge and tile from the Ground Council Estate at Heian Royal Palace in the center of this map. Next, please. This is the detail of a vessel stand with miniature jars from Tatsumi Round Mound. The round tomb mound with the stone chamber with the passage connected the center of the burial chamber wall. The tray stand, vessel stand with the miniatures and the gilt bronze harness were found at the passage. It is considered that this tomb was constructed in the latter half of the 6th century for the local chief in the Sagano area. Next, please. This is the detail of gray glazed water pitcher from Kitashirakawa Haiji temple. This site was excavated from the December 3rd, 1990 to April 9th, 1991, and found that no pillar foundation style buildings, no pillar foundation style fences, the ditches and the pits. The water feature was found at one of the pits with the Haiji dish, the deep bowl of sue ware, and the green glaze ware. These were dating from the latter half of 8th century to the beginning of the 9th century. Next one. This is the detail of the ornament ridge and tile from the Grand Council Estate at the Heian Royal Palace. This tile has stepped style in the inner part and raised beads in the outer part. Fin on the ridge, it does not reach the top. Restored height is about 1.5 meter and the body is 4 to 6 centimeters thick and the fin is about 8 centimeters thick. These fragments are attributed to the middle subtype in 9th century. Next. Next, please. For foreign researchers, the acquisition of research license in Japan is not familiar aspect. I would like to introduce it by Dr. Sofiman's request. At first, send the brief proposal in Japanese to the museum. Foreign researchers have to find the Japanese English-speaking collaborator or curator. Second, identifying narrowing the research objects by the meeting with a curator in case no description about the object's details in the proposal. The third, fill the application form based on the result of above meeting in Japanese and send by email or email attachment or postal mail. Next. This is the application form for the acquisition of research license of my institute. And addressee is our Director General of our institute, but the actual accessors below are the other members of the institute as yellow line. This process make possible to the prompt issue of the license. The next section is presented by Dr. Suleiman. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sekihiro. Actually, without your efforts, we couldn't achieve anything officially. So thank you so much. So let's move to the next part of this presentation about the data acquisition in Kyoto City Archaeological Museums. So basically, we have utilized a specific techniques to capturing these three objects, which is consists of basically control units. Basically, we need to download such as this software related to Nikon camera. This one is already exists in Google Play or Google Store, so anyone can download it on smartphone or even laptop or PC and so on. Actually, this software had been supported by Android, iOS, or even Windows, so it is so easy to download it. The second one is Nikon D5500 60mm plus tripod. Actually, these devices had been provided by Art Research Center here in Ritsumeikan University. So this second utilities that we have used to capturing these three objects. Also, lighting and the tripod are very important to adopt the lighting environment around the objects in Kyoto City Archaeological Museum. And also one of the most important and impressive tools is turnable table plus circle divided into 24 segments. Actually, we use that would be clarified later. We utilize such as this turnable table just to put the object itself, avoiding to touch it or even to twist the captured angle itself. And also we follow these 24 segments. For each one represents a capturing point for the object itself. And eventually, as you can see here, this one of these objects, and this is the settled equipments and tools. Capturing the object, as you can see here, this is my colleague Takechi-san, and we are capturing here one of these three objects, and this is the next one. Counter the clockwise, so we get turning around counterclockwise, as you can see here, by turning this round table, as you can see. In other case, for water pitcher, as you can see here, we use a shield or some sort of to isolate the lighting environment around the object itself and provide a secured one here, as you can see, using the light ring and tripod. After that, let's move to processing and analysis of these three objects. We have utilized Agisoft Metashape. This version is the latest one. 1.7.4 is the latest one for processing and analyzing these three objects. Basically here for modeling Tatsumi round tomb moon, as my colleague Sekihiro-san presented before. And of course, this is analysis after processing, so it is important to show you the analysis results to figure out the upcoming or the steps of the process itself. So calibration here for the camera itself is a camera model is Nikon D5500 60mm, resolution 1620 1080, and focal length is of course this is the camera itself 60mm, while the pixel size is 14.8 micron, and while the data output number of image that we have created for this one is 97, and you can and also camera station is also it's also the same meaning of number of image itself, 97, while type points, which is connect all photos had been taken during data acquisition to connect and tie and provide secured overlap for all image to modelize the object itself. So let's move to the basic steps of for modeling this object. Basically, Metashape has a basic process consists of 6 steps, as you can see here. First, we need to add the photo itself here, as you can see here, from the file existing already on the PC, or even to drag it directly to this box of photo. The second phase is, or second step is align the photos itself to connect and align all of these photos or captures to in integrated way. After that, build dense cloud, build mesh, build texture, and finally build the tiled model, which is the final output for the object model itself to generate the a real model for the object, basically. So after adding photos, this is the next step, which is align photo. Usually with workflow here option, basically this is the most utilized option or tech here in Metashape itself. And basically we align photo. We choose from here align photo with the first step here, and we choose high or even ultra high, whatever. It depends on the data itself or the quality of the data itself. And also we can use here the source, which means the camera itself. Source means the camera itself with its all installation and setup. While key points and tie points here, as you can see, it's very important to provide the tie points which connects and build the model as one of the main process in Metashape. So usually, or it is standard one to use such for 40,000 and 10,000. After that, after aligning, we can see here this represents these lines is the photo point itself. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. But basically, it is standard to have or to capture 3 levels counterclockwise. While here this piece is a little bit or was a little bit difficult because it has different levels and features, as you can see. So it was a very difficult one. So it was better to capture more than 3 levels or 3 rounds. So after that, after align photo, the third step is build dense cloud, as you can see here, to create or to generate the density of the points itself that will be promoted in the next step to build the model itself. So in build dense cloud here, it's standard use medium and meld option, and after that we click OK, and this is the data itself after this step. The fourth step is build mesh to combine and to harmonize the data more and more. Usually also we use that such as this dense cloud that we have created in the previous step, and usually this is standard option, so it is not preferable to change it anyway. The next one is build texture to and build texture also is standard options, so it is not preferable in basic steps to change it anyway. So we can see through this steps that the modeling is going better and better and becoming a little bit more real one. While the final one is build tight model to generate this piece itself or this object, or to modelize this object in the end. So build tiled model usually also it has a standard option, so it is not recommended to change it if you want to just to follow the basic process. And after that, it had been generated, but some scattered data here or points need to be deleted or cropping. So we use this option here, intelligent scissors to select all the scattered data and finally delete it. And let's have a look on this model. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So we can use it as here, move it around, and we can see it here and how it is going on. And one of the most benefits of such these techniques that we already agree with Dr. Sekiro, my colleague, that we can figure out the restoration features here, as you can see, and also to study the feature or even count these hatches, if you like. Of course, this is very interesting for archaeologists to do such so.
Mohammed, now you are working. I can't see your final presentation of
You mean
model.
Sorry, you mean this PDF?
A video, probably video. We can't.
Okay.
The export model is not. We are not able to see it because there is a buffer or loading or something.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes. Now
it's clear.
Great.
Okay. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, great.
We can see here restoration effect and how piece of it was during the excavation, and also and so on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's move to one more thing, please.
One more thing. Okay.
Okay.
Almost the time. Yeah.
Okay. One moment. Okay, just final thing.
Okay.
Okay, another trick due to Great Lakes water feature was not so enough tie point, so we utilized another trick in Metashape. Basically, we call it creating mask, which consists of intelligent scissors and export masks. Usually, we use such as this one. In the case of insufficient of tie points of the data itself. Following that, intelligent scissors was used just to identify and border the objects that we not want to create mask for it. And after that, we export it. As you can see here, we can find some photos, no mask, so no need for this. It is already aligned. But in the case of aligning the first step of processing, there was not enough tie point for these photos. So we usually use this use mask option to create more, to identify more tie points for the other not aligned photos. And after that, we export masks. And that's all, one more thing. Yes. Yes. Can you see this one?
Yes.
Yes, and also we can study this one as archaeological object, one of the most important one in Kyoto Archaeological Museum of Archaeology. And eventually, we'd like to we'd like to acknowledge the support of Kyoto City Archaeological Museum for support us to produce this contribution. Basically, Dr. Sekihiro and Yamamoto-san, the director of Kyoto City Archaeological Museums, and thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very great work. So now the question and the comment, please. I have one question about taking time. Oh, okay. And firstly, my short question. Firstly, okay. And how long does it take a photo for one object?
For actually, I listen say it depends on settling the tools and the devices. It takes a little bit time to harmonize or to adopt the light environment and taking the right position. If we settle this, it actually takes time. As I remember, it takes around half an hour to settle the tools itself. But for capturing, it depends on the object itself, how many levels, how about the shape itself. So it was very difficult for us. But in such as this case, it takes around 2 hours maybe for one piece.
Okay, and
for capturing only.
Okay, and okay, please next question from the Elastography. Please remove the mute. Please. Elaspeed.
Dr. El Said?
Dr.
Yes.
Zaloul.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. But this technology is similar to terrestrial laser scanner?
A sort of similarity, but it is related to objects in museum. Basically, the similar one is photo scanning or techniques. But this one also, it gives the same, maybe the same results of laser scanning, but not but not has the same concept, but not the same procedure or even installation.
But I think the terrestrial laser scanner more effective and easier, and it is good to make visual tours.
Yes, that's right. But in, as you know, Professor Zaloul, in sites like Kite by Citadel, it works, but in such this case, I think it is a little bit difficult. But alternatively, we have here another techniques. We call it photo scanning, or stereo scanning.
Stereo scanning. Okay, thanks.
It is dedicated for the objects, museum objects.
Small objects.
Small object, yeah, in museums. While laser scanning is much better for sites.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, actually, photo scanning is quite new technology for creating the 3D models. So it's very cheap, basically, I think. So laser scanning is a little bit expensive, I think. So, but in Japan, we use both tools for creating the 3D model. We call it hybrid technique, laser scanning and the photos. So it's very nice experience, I think, for Mohammed. Okay. Do you have any other questions? No. Little bit behind. So, and I would like to close first session of this presentation. Anyway, thank you very much for Mohammed and Naoyo-san. Thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。Thank you.
Okay, now we should have 5 minutes break from now. Okay, so we would like to start 5:30 half past, in Japan time, it's half past time. So, and we would like to restart from the 5 minutes later. Okay. So now it's a great. Now we should have break. So during this time, I would like to share my slides through the chat. Please download my slide from the chat. Okay. Now it's a break. Okay. Takeuchi 君、聞こえますか？
はい、聞こえます。
あなたもスライドPDF にしてアップしたらどうかなと思うのと、
わかりました。
リクエストが、ハブのなんか限定版とか出せないのかな？リンクを見たいと言ってるけど。
ちょっと難しいですよね。
難しい。じゃあ、
この休憩時間中になんかシェアスクリーンするぐらいですかね。
あ、そうだね。じゃあ、なんか、見せてあげたら。
わかりました。
竹内君、シェアしてるわけ？竹内君、聞こえないか。
Let's start share my Access Hub project.
Yes. Just during the break, Takeuchi-kun shows ArcGIS online hub of Heiankyo area. Now it's not open to public. Probably the end of this month we'll open this ArcGIS online hub. So we would like to inform you about this site. So at the moment we can't inform this website. So just before opening.
now present a full-scale excavation distribution. Next, trench survey. Now, many excavations are conducted. And construct monitoring survey is also many.
Okay. Anyway, probably this website will launch the end of this month. So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yano-sensei,
Hi.
please could you check the share screen regarding the audio, because we would like to share the promo video again.
Oh yeah, yes. And when you open your share screen, you check the sound, check boxes, sounds. Please.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so maybe we can share it again in
yes, please.
the end. Or...
Yes, please try it.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear the sounds.
Perfect.
Okay, and now finish the break. So we start the session, second session. So now, Mohammed, your chair now, from now.
Okay. Okay, welcome again. Now this is the second session that I introduce Dr. Ahmed Goma from National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics to present cultural heritage documentation in historical Cairo using terrestrial laser scanner case study of Muhabbuddin Abu Tayyib Hall and El Qadi House. So Dr. Hani, please.
So, okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad, for the introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am Ahmed Goma from Egypt. I am a researcher at National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics. And I wish to express my appreciations for the organization of this workshop, Professor Liano, and Professor Mona, Professor Gab, and Dr. Muhammad. And I hope we have more collaborations in the near future. So I will start by my talking that's about cultural heritage documentation in historical Cairo using the terrestrial laser scanner, a case study of El Qadi House. Firstly, the outline will be included the motivation of the work and the methodology. And I will talking about some of the data processing, starting from the acquisitions and then registration, and some processing of the data to output 3D modeling, and then the conclusion. Before I start for the motivations, I will give a first glance on my departments or my laboratory and the National Research Institute of Astronomy. I'm researcher in, I work as a researcher in cluster deformations laboratory in geodynamics department in National Research Institute of Astronomy and Physics. We have some main goals, including the establishment of geodetic network to monitor recent crust movement of seismic active and vital area in Egypt. Also determining the movement of the Earth's crust by means of terrestrial, geodetic, and space technology and techniques of the Egyptian regions. Recording of some geodetic data from our Egyptian permanent GPS network and the institute, which consists approximately of 32 stations, and improving some tropospheric and ionospheric models and corrections that enhance the geodetic data. conducting three-dimensional laser surveying or scanning for the tunnels, archaeological area, and important building in Egypt, using the mobile and terrestrial laser scanning, and carrying scientific consulting and research work in this field of crust movement, and starting also to use artificial intelligence in the ecological Earth observation and object detection taking applications. Also, we have some tools and lab devices, including the Global Navigation Satellite System instrument, starting from the Trimble 5700 and Trimble Net R8, Trimble R8, Trimble Net R9, and finally you have a Trimble Alloy. And also we have some laser scanning instruments, including the fixed Trimble TX6 and also moving Trimble MX2 mobile mapping, and we will modify this instrument. And finally, we have some optical instruments, including the Leica Total Station, Trimble S5, and Sokia digital leveling devices. Firstly, about motivations, according to Sustainable Development Strategy and Egypt Vision 2030, cultural heritage was specified as essential sustainable development. So recently, Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiques have started to use the latest application for the development of the tourist, including use terrestrial laser scanner to prevent and document the archaeological site. Moreover, to make a big use of that archaeological area and make something to produce in the form of virtual reality that increase the tourism development, especially in our epidemic, the COVID-19. So the area site documented with 3D laser scanning has proven recently to be a great way to preserve the information and the narrative about this site, and complete style to facilitate reconstruction because of lost this thing due to some natural or man-made problems. So about the study area, we select El Qadi House, or called the Judge House. It's one of the Egypt's most important sites in Egypt that close to cover within the Sustainable Development Strategy 2030. El Qadi House also is located in historic Cairo or Islamic Cairo. It's considered one of the most historic sites in Egypt and the old Islamic world. It has a rich history and heritage science, its foundation in the early period of Islam, and also it's closing to the ancient Egyptian spots in Giza and Memphis. And also for the original style conservation organized, was established in Cairo to change the zone and the built environment. The house was badly reconstructed in 1847 and restored in 2001 to regain its former beauty. However, it's suffering some various serious issues. The most important problem is the underground water, which threatens its long preservation. So based on the importance of the site and the condition of which it's exposed to, so it's become necessary to document it and preserve the momentum by using some digitized documentation such as the 3D technology and more efficient mapping solution. So we started this work on 2019. Recently, terrestrial laser scanner is considered the best techniques due to its simplicity, speed, and accuracy. So we use the Trimble TX6 for capture and decode the color information of the data of the body house, and then make the 3D modeling of this area. And this figure indicates the Muhib hole and Method Amir Mamai that painted by Frank Tillons. Also, this maps in the left is a location map of El Qadi House, and its location in Gamaliel Street. It's have a lot of historical places and more important historical places in Egypt. And on the right, this map of the places of El Qadi House. El Qadi House had three regions. Firstly, Method al-Amir Mamai Saiti and Muhib al-Din Hall, and finally El Qadi House Gate on that. I'm talking about the methodology. In our methodology, we depend on the laser scanner Trimble TX6. The Trimble TF6 depend on work with the technology of the time of flight. Based on the time of flight, we have the laser scanner. The laser scanner is considered a sensor, and he emits a light. This light will reflect with different. So the time we can calculate the time between the first emitted and received light, and multiply by 2 and dividing by the speed, we can get the distance between the object and the later source. To make our 3D modeling, we have 4 main steps. Firstly, we plan we make a study about the area and visualize the places of the scan station. The place of the scan station is so important because it will give us more coverage. So this figure indicates the importance of the scan station spaces. On the left, we can show that this place is not covered a large regions. However, in the left figures, this scan regions, this scan position will give us more coverage. So it's so important to visualize the places of scan stations before starting the scan process. And the second stage to establish the control point that is the building using surveying global navigation satellite systems. And the third station to use the terrestrial laser scanner to scan the house from various elevations using some flat targets. And then finally, we produce a 3D model and document preserve the study area. So the modeling process will contain some steps. Firstly, by the registration, the data we have collected, and make some processing on this data. Some noise will be deleted, and finally we have the mesh to create the mesh modeling, and finally we will out with the 3D modeling out. So in this figure, on the left figure, it is the Trimble receiver R8 we're using in our measurement to measure the control point in the front of Mechad al-Amir Mammaid Psyche. And on the right figures, we have a terrestrial laser scanner TX6 in action surveying of Mechad al-Amir Mammaid Psyche. So then we are talking about the data acquisitions by terrestrial laser scanner TX6. For the data acquisitions, firstly, I'm talking about, as I mentioned before, we have 3 places. Firstly, Muhib al-Din Hall. The Muhib al-Din Hall was covered by 46 scans, and each scan containing at least 4 targets. There are 5 black and white flat targets and approximately 180 sphere targets at used for registrations. And these figures present the scan stations in the first floor of Muhib al-Din Hall, extract from the Trimble real-world software. On the other hand, the second region is Mechad al-Amir Mammaid Psyche, and it covers by approximately 60 scans. 200 sphere targets in addition to 6 black and white flat targets are used. And finally, the final place is the Qadi House. The Qadi House gate is covered by 4 scans and was registered by 10 sphere targets. Actually, after finishing this point and data acquisition, all this data were registered to collect all these scans in final model and one model. The next step is the registration. The registration is so important process. It is considered the second stage for the data analysis. So we have 2 types of registration. It is scan-based registration or target-based registrations. In our work, we depend on the target-based registrations. In the target-based registrations, we use the flat targets and spherical targets. So for the registration in Muhib al-Din Hall and Mechad al-Amir Psyche, Mechad al-Amir Mammaid Psyche, we use the total stations to coordinate the precise coordination. So it is important process because it helps us to use at a new reference point. We use this data for the first, second, and third scans, which contain some black and white targets, and then the spherical targets used to link all the scans with each other. On the other side, the gate of the body house has been registered by just all these spherical targets. We depend on the tender real world version 11.2 to register all the scans of the body house. And after the final registrations, we have the models, we have accuracy about 3 millimeters. And this figure represents the black and white targets, and this is the black and white targets in the place of the site. So all of it considered white and flat, white flat targets. And also these figures represents the spherical targets we are using in our location. About the data processing, after make the registration of point cloud, we need to convert all these point to mesh models. So the archaeological sections extracted in order to make a digitize it. So to make a digitize it, we have a data approximately after registrations, we need a registration for about 110 scans. So in each scans, we have containing about 700,000 points. So finally, we collected all this data. We have a large and a huge data points cloud that we used for create the 3D model. And these figures represent 3D register point cloud in Macadam and Amir Mamaya site on the left figures. And on the right, we have different sections of the point cloud. And for the data processing, we have different processing for this data, such as post-processing. As we mentioned before, we have a lot of and a huge of point cloud. This huge of point cloud is so difficult to make a triangulation model, so we need to make a diminishing or a sampling and resampling of this data. So we make this steps of post-processing, and this figure represents the Mekad al-Amir Mamaya cycle also. In the A, in figure A, we make on this figure, we represent the intensity point cloud from the inside view, and in the figure B, we present the intensity point cloud from the outside view, and then finally in C, we represent the point cloud for all skins together, but after the cleaning. So we have some noises. We make a segmentation of this noise, and finally we have the model with cleaning from the noise, and also we add the picture color, and also this point clouds for Muhammad team Huel and Mekad al-Amir Sci-Fi and Qadi House Gate after applying the image texture net and also making a cleaning noise. And for the also we make a slicing. The slicing is a so important process on the data processing, because in slicing we cut and slice the point cloud in many layers, because it will use us in the architecture of this model, and it used to enhance the architecture drawing, especially for the doors and windows, and also to know the distance between the exact distance between the doors and window also, and enhance the architecture drawing to get accurate data for the drawing. After this, we use this output as input for CPD Max and output of the figure. For the A, it's considered a cross-section slicing of one column from Mekad al-Amir and Mamaya site. It's considered the two colors, and B for the grayscale colors, and coded by elevation in C, and finally intensity model in G. And also we have stitching used. We use the traditional methods to draw two-dimensional modeling. So after get the data for of the laser point cloud, we extract this data in the PNG or the Excel format, to input for the AutoCAD or Autodesk AutoCAD. So the output will give us the details of the interface of Mahad al-Amir al-Saifi and the Qadi house and Mohib al-Din al-Tayyib as in these figures. It represents a two-dimension section of Mohib al-Din Hall al-Tayyib Hall and Mahad al-Amir Mamai on the front view. And finally, I will conclude our work. We use modern techniques and surveying processing permit to achieve a three-dimensional model for Mohib al-Din al-Tayyib Hall, Mahad al-Amir Mamai al-Saifi, and Qadi house gate. And now we have original copy documented and preserved the original model with its old features. We have captured this data in 2019. Therefore, we have a 3D model facilitates rebuilding processing and gets to know the refractive index of building material. The heritage buildings such as Qadi house offer opportunity to study and preserve this type of building. This research outcome ought to comprehend documents the heritage building considering the complication in terms of the design. Additionally, employing this mentioned method historically significant building can be demonstrate critical rules to build our to uphold the history and the country and building heritage museum in Egypt. And as mentioned, Professor Katz, we have different projects related to this area, and we have different backgrounds, specialized from geophysics and also computer vision and also reference implementation in our laboratory in Riyadh. So we are so glad to make more collaborations with national and international university and institutions. Thanks so much. And any question?
Thanks so much, Dr. Ahmed, for this nice presentation. Actually, Historic Cairo terrestrial laser scanning project was one of the most interesting ones that had been carried out by Nariaj for Historic Cairo as World Heritage Site. So we are looking forward to maximize the benefit of this project to visualize Historic Cairo as well. So please, if anyone has a question, please. Dr. Fukami.
Thanks so much, Dr. Ahmed. I'm very appreciated your presentation. I want to ask about you the relation of the Bait al-Qadi and Kat Muhibuddin. Is it possible to using your technical to reconstruct the before the Shariat al-Bait Qadi has not been existed? Can you especially the Makad of Muhibuddin, Kat al-Muhibuddin has a facade, but in Napoleon's map there is no space. The Napoleon map didn't show some space, but in Grand Bay's map it shows some square in front of Kat Muhibuddin. Can you reconstruct the mid 19th century the urban fabric around there? This is my question.
I think in these regions we will consider to start to make a documentation of the site on the post. So I think it's so difficult, but I think after this this workshop, I will consider this point because it's so important to make such definition of documentation and the past. So now we didn't make documented on the past. So, but after the workshop, we will consider and our team will consider such strategies and methodology in our work.
Thanks so much. The urban fabric is very important thing for the historic Cairo. So that please think about it. Thanks so much.
Yes. Thanks so much for your question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fukami. Okay, Dr. Islam.
Thanks, Dr. Mohammed, and thanks, Dr. Ahmed, for your great presentation and also great application of terrestrial laser scanner and documenting and preservation of cultural heritage. My question about which kind of cooperation can we do to cooperate with NARIAGE for this application? We suggest or have a site we need to make 3D models or make laser scanning for it. What is the procedures? How can we cooperate for that?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Islam, for your question and also for your interest to make a collaboration with our laboratory in NARIAGE. So the steps is we have a cluster deformation laboratory, and also we have a lot of consultants related covered all Egypt. So basically, you can contact me on the email or Professor Gad, or directly to the laboratory, the head of the laboratory of cluster deformations. So after you can contact me or send me an email, and I will make all the process and make a contact. So it's so easy.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thanks so much, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Islam. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Any last question or comment? Dr. Ahmed, maybe you have a question on the chat box asking if there are plans to digitize any other places in Egypt, especially Alex City.
Now we have a project, our laboratory, our team in laboratory, we have ongoing project related to make a documentations of and make a 3D modeling around Egypt's Afwan, Abu Simbel, and Fela, and also, but in Alexandria now we didn't have a project or ongoing projects on Alexandria, but we welcome to any consulting or any collaboration to make a documented for the historic places or any places in Alexandria. Our laboratory and our institute have very welcome for any collaboration and any consulting around Egypt.
Okay, another more question. Is this tremble laser scanner be used for archaeological sites in jungle or forests? Can be exclude objects like trees?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. We have a lot of types of laser scanner. We have a terrestrial laser scanner, fixed, and also for a moving camera. We have a dongle for the moving, and we make something like the e-cognitions. E-cognition toolbox is used to detect the objects and recognize it. So it's easy to recognize the trees, recognize the vehicles, recognize the objects, and exclude the objects, and also to exclude this object. We have already like this in our devices in Egypt. Also, we start to make some of the modifications of this strategy to make our models and the tremble models more robust and more accurate.
Okay, last two comments or question. First, Professor Mona and Dr. Gad. So, Professor Mona, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mohammed. And thanks for all presenters. Very interesting presentations, in fact. My comment is all what we followed up is a very good work concerning conservation of our heritage. But my comment is to raise the point of the effect of environment, because there is a direct link between environment and, for example, the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, links many important issues for human being with the SDGs, the 17 goals of the SDGs. And part of this is a direct linkage between environment and goal number 11, which is sustainable cities, including heritage conservation and so on. So I'm raising this point now to make a ring for the environmentalists to conserve environment and to keep it more clean. This is my point. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Mona, for your question, and I'm glad to contact you. I'm graduate from Egypt Japan University of Science and Technology, so I really appreciate your question. Firstly, I need to mention that our laboratory in the Riyadh is very interested for the environment. So we have a project related to make some geophysical surveying, and also to make to study the surveying GPS to make to find the rate of cluster deformation in the places of the historical places. So we use the gravity devices, and also our team use specified in the gravitation methods and gravity devices, and also the cluster deformations using the GPS for this historical place. So we study, we have stations around some places according to our project, and we make a study to how these places is there any deformation on this place of the vertical places or not, using the GPS devices for surveying, and also the gravitation method, and also to make the earthquake behavior on this region. So I think this related to the environment and related to how to conserve such places from the natural or any man-made earthquake.
Okay, Professor Gad, do you have any comment?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, and all colleagues. I'm just having a little comment and answer to some question raised, already answered by my colleague, Dr. Ahmed Guma. Of course, Nariyaj, as a national institutions, are welcome and ready to collaborate with all national entities or individuals in Egypt for the sake of preserving the heritage sites in Egypt. Already there is some agreement, a bilateral agreement with some institutions, and it can be good to validate those and start working with all of you, including the Ministry of Tourism and entities. Another question was raised about do we have some work at Alexandria? We have some work already at Katbay Citadel. We have some geophysical surveys. Ground motion and its effect. Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Yes, that's okay now.
Yeah. Sorry, because I'm out of Cairo. I'm on my way to Sharm el-Sheikh, so I'm facing some inconsistent in network connection. Sorry for that.
Okay, please.
So, and the question raised by Dr. Mona about considering environmental effect on heritage sites. Of course, we have some running project, and since long time already, we start to.
Professor Gad.
I'm not hearing you, Professor Gad.
Professor Gad, maybe there is some interruption in the internet. So maybe we can recall Dr. Gad again in the closing and discussion. So sorry for this. So please, Dr. Ahmed, stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the next presentation will be presented by, sorry, a moment, please. Yes, exactly. Yes, the next presentation entitled Visualization of Kite Bicycle Project in New Horizon for Alexandria Culture Heritage. That will be presented by my colleague Dua Ali and me. Actually, this one is the core of our activity here, or the workshop of today, is a prototype to introduce the cultural heritage of Alexandria at risk to visual, that represents an attempt to visualize kite by citadel using techniques of virtual reality. So okay. Opening of this one-day workshop. This presentation comes within the Kite by Citadel visualization, the main coastal fortification of medieval Alexandria, and which is led by Professor Mona Gamaluddin and I. So the motivation of this project, that of course to the disaster of the fire in Notre Dame Cathedral in France, and one day you have all the world get this bad or panic news, if you can say, for the fire disaster in such as this World Heritage Site that finished the value of this human heritage in France. So regarding Dr. Taloon activities and efforts for digitizing such as this one using virtual reality techniques, regarding these efforts, it is already reconstructed again based on his data acquisition using virtual reality. So in the same meaning or in the same context, this project, Kite by VR project, comes in the same outline, just to showing case a model for documenting the cultural heritage at risk, where Alexandria, as Professor Gad and Professor Mona introduced in the opening session of this workshop, is exposed to maybe tsunami and earthquakes or even seismic disaster. Historically, it has been investigated. The second objective is supporting sustainability of tourism industry within National Sustainable Development Strategy, Egypt Vision 2030. Basically, tourism and cultural heritage goal. Third, an attempt to visualize and publicize Alexandria cultural heritage properties for stakeholders and scholars in the time of disaster. Of course, many of tourists couldn't travel to Egypt due to outbreak of COVID-19 as one of this contemporary disaster nowadays. And also some scholars couldn't visit the site itself physically due to the same reason. So such as this attempt could provide data and publicize the cultural heritage of Alexandria and Kite by Citadel, basically for scholars to continue their study in the field of cultural heritage or archaeology. Next is enlarging the network and strengthening future scientific collaboration among Japanese and Egyptian scholars in digital humanities. Of course, we have such as this kind of collaboration between Ritzmaken, Egypt, and Nariaj in the future as well. Next, and eventually availability at a low price and systems that require specialized knowledge are becoming easier to use. That will clarify in the upcoming slides. So let's have overview about outstanding coastal fortifications that will be presented by my colleague Dua. So Dua, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for such as his participation. Qaitbay Castle is a defensive castle, is located on southeast of the corner of Varus Island, where the lighthouse was once stayed. The lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders of ancient world, it was constructed during the reign of the Ptolemy II and completed the project during the Ptolemy I by the architect Sostratus of Sindus. It was intended to guide and protect the sailors and ships. Unfortunately, the lighthouse was collapsed as a result of major earthquake and disappeared from the historical records totally after 14th century. So came Sultan Qaitbay and fortified the part or the place as a part of his fortified or coastal defense and built its on its site its castle. Sultan Qaitbay, the Circassian Mamluk Sultan, ruled Egypt more than 26 years old, who was fond of art and architecture. So his name engraved more than 17 monuments, including zoological, civil, and military strict like Qaitbay Castle. About the chronology of the development of the castle, actually the castle doesn't, however, present its original form over centuries. It has been modified and restored many times or several times. Began with Qaitbay when he ordered to build the castle from 1477 and completed the project in 1479 AD with an external rampart around all the place from all 4 directions, and they have a defensive semicircle tower for a defense. Also, the main tower, which stands on the inner of the open courtyard, in which the mosque was built for a sermon, a mill, also the cistern for storing good water for soldiers. Also, the main tower contained about 28 barracks provided with a defensive arrow slides for darts. After the death of Qaitbay, the king or the Sultan Ghuri was elected, ruled Egypt, and gave the castle special attention when he felt the approach of the Ottoman Syriate. So provided the castle with defensive weapons and also began to build the external or the second wall outside the older one in order to protect or make any assault more difficult. During the 19th century, Muhammad Ali Pasha, when he ruled Egypt in 1905, he reinforced the castle, restoring its outer ramparts, and also began to build the coastal passage in order to provide the castle with the modern weapons of his time in order to fortify the Mediterranean sea coast from any seaborne attack. The castle retained the interest of Muhammad Ali's successors until the revolution in Egypt took place in 1992, which renamed the Arabi Revolt. That's why British field bombarded Alexandria in 1982 and damaged most of the part of Alexandria, including Qaitbay Castle, in which the western facade of the main tower was destroyed in addition to the minaret of the mosque. The first restoration for the castle after this damage was in 1938 under supervision of the Committee for the Conservation of Arab Antiques by the help of French book, The Description of Egypt. The castle remained as a military strict as its function a few years until 2003. This is the last restoration or a final restoration for the castle by the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiques in order to open the castle or open the place as a tourist place for the public. So thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks so much, Dot. So do I have figured out the architectural context of Kite Citadel? So let's move to the next step, which is field work and the data acquisition. Actually, regarding the same procedure for data acquisition, we can find here the utilized tools, which is consist of control units. We used here Ricosita software, which is also we have to download on a smartphone or laptop or whatever. Also, this is supported by Android, iOS, and Windows as well. So control unit can be a smartphone, as we have used in Kite Citadel, plus tripod for the camera itself, which is Ricosita, that we have utilized it, Z1 51 gigabytes. And also its properties allowed to us to get to pick high resolution and high quality pictures, 3D images, indeed, to produce such this prototype project. So basically, we can figure out here the installation of the tools itself, which is tripod and the Ricosita camera here, and we can figure out also the data survey of the one of the pictures. As you can see, we can find it shooting mode, option setting, receipt, and also coordinates and the date of making the pictures or the 3D images itself, and added to the name of the image itself, which is in digital number, which can support us using the processing to figure out which one is it. Basically, we had to figure out and realize the architecture component and context of the Kite Citadel, which consists of main tower, double Rembrandts, barracks, and so on. And using such this manual clipboard and plan for the citadel itself, we assign each point for picking the 3D image station, like here, and allocate it on this plan for the citadel, as you can see here in this one. So we, in all 3D image stations we have carried out in Kite Citadel, we followed the same process. So let's move to the processing and analysis. And for basically, as we have clarified, that we need to understand and realize the architectural context of Kite Citadel. And according to the architectural analysis, Kite Citadel consists of the main tower. It's, of course, ground floor, first floor, and second floor, added to coastal passages, and all surrounded by walls, gates, and the open courtyard inside. So for each one of this, shoot range was which is calculated on automatically on Ricosita camera from 50 to 76 and so on, and while calculating the shoots itself is 27 in the case of ground floor and so on. Finally, we have 119 DNG file, which is also support JPG, as you can see here. So using processing Ricosita, before that, some of the 3D images had been corrected using Adobe Photoshop CC 2019 software, just for editing some feature unrefutable things, or even for deleted. Basically, we add photo here in Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, and we utilize here from 3D spherical panorama and the new panorama to convert the JPG itself from 2D scene to 3D image. to know how to deal with it. As you can see here, now it had been converted into 3D image. The next one is exporting the data itself here after carrying out the appropriated correction. And finally, we can select here the data, even the settings and image size that we are like to carry out or to add for the 3D image, and finally save it. After that, we upload the chosen 3D images to Theta 360 BIZ software to process this collected data. Actually, there are so many softwares deals with processing and analysis of 3D images. Some are for free, but others are paid software. This one is paid one, but not in so much expensive. Basically, we create tour here and add name. This is the first one, first step. The second one is adding a map that we have utilized in allocating the shooting point or shooting station for 3D images in the field work itself, as you can see here. And after that, we add photos and we drag the photo itself up to here in the same location in the manual plan, and so on. And after that, we click on link to connect with this all scene to create a circulation for the tour virtually. And the next step is specifying the first display, which means that in some cases during the processing, this is the facets of the main tower here that we are standing on. But in some cases, we can find, although this is the direction of this point is forward to this main facet, but in some cases, we can find the back of the photo itself here. So we click on this one and forward it manually to face the main facet here, and finally to save it or set it at the first side display, and so on. Next step is annotation editing. For adding more information about each scene for public or even who are interested in Kite by Citadel, we utilize this add annotation here, as you can see. So we add text, or of course in limited characters, and after that we can add image also, or none, or movie, or whatever to this one. And after that we close. Eventually we find this one when we click here, as you can see in this one. This for information or annotation. Finally, we have created these 5 links for the Kite by Citadel, and each of these has an individual link for each part or each section here, and this is the final website or a final link for production for Theta software. Now we can figure out which direction is here, or even we can get information about the software or the scene itself. Eventually, when we for publicizing this contribution, there are 2 options. First is generating 2-dimensional code, which is QR code as known, and download it and spread it easily. And if you can forward the Google Lens to it, you can already get the link and go directly to the Kite by Citadel. Alternatively, we can find here a direct navigation URL that we can get from this area. or this part. Regarding conclusion, in the time of natural or man-made disaster, digital humanities is highly recommended to document the cultural heritage at risk that will be provided for public use, basically decision makers, scholars, and people with special needs, and to preserve it for the upcoming generations. Digitization of Kite Citadel is a prototype for documenting and monitoring the cultural heritage of Alexandria that will be promoted in collaboration with stakeholders, basically Ministry of Antiquities as the end users. From the perspective of sustainability, Kite Citadel VR project would support efforts of decision makers to create sustainable model compatible with the NSDS Egypt Vision 2030. Eventually, other technological applications should be considered to digitize Alexandria cultural heritage, including, of course, Kite Citadel, as virtual reality isn't the only mean to achieve that. Basically, laser scanning, drone, and so on that we are looking forward to create in the next phase of this project. And finally, we would like to acknowledge Kite team in Ministry of Antiquities to support this product, and my friend Dr. Catherine Machenik at Center d'études Alexandrine for providing HD diagrams that enrich these contributions. And thanks for attention. Please, if anyone has any question, comment. Okay, Dr. Islam.
Thanks, Dr. Muhammad, for your great work and to safeguard one of most vulnerable coastal heritage sites in Egypt. In my PhD, I found it one of the most vulnerable sites to sea level rise. But my question about can we get or use the model of Ricosita in the future conservation or restoration methods or restoration process?
Yes, of course, we can utilize it, Dr. Islam, because but in documentation, you know, in any conservation project is going through three phases of documentation: one before conservation, one during, and one after finishing. Okay, so it is one of the most cheap and effective methods. Of course, we can use it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad.
You're welcome. Okay, Dr. Fukami, please.
Thank you, Mohamed. Thank you for your excellent presentation. I want to ask you about from the digital source, we can get some information about the measurement or not?
Yes, maybe yes. Maybe you can get some. Maybe we can get some. But yeah, it needs more processing and need more specialized software for this one.
Oh, I see.
Of course, we can get measures. Yes. Actually, this is a very important point.
Yeah, very important.
Yes. Yes. Any comment or question? Okay, so let's move to the next.
Sorry, Dr. Muhammad.
Okay, please.
I have a question about, I am Muhammad Ibrahim, PhD students in Neriag, and my PhD study about Kite Citadel. But I study Kite Citadel for cultural heritage sites to hazard assessment for natural hazard, not man-made hazard. So I made some studies about Kite Citadel. My question is, do you have any idea about the technique of digitizing Kite Citadel for using this model for some of seismic modeling for this model? So can use this model as the initial model for seismic model and simulation for earthquakes?
Actually, I'm not sure about that, Muhammad, but I don't think so, because this one is two-dimensional. So alternatively, we can, if you, of course, you have already seismic data for kite by citadel, right? So we have one attempt in Nariaj. You may talk with Professor Abbas about that in Qalat al-Kabsh. We get some measurements with GBR, and we converted it to SketchUp, and we get after that this data to convert it directly to AutoCAD, and we modelize the unearthed archaeological assets in that area in Cairo, by the way. So I think if you have such as this data, you can follow the same process, but not such as this technique.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor Zalul, please.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for this nice presentation. And I have a comment, and I know that you make a fabulous PhD thesis about the waterway system in Alexandria, ancient Alexandria. So did you have a plan to make some documentation for part of this water system?
Of course, it is very, very important. Thanks, of course, Dr. Zalul, for very kind words. As you know, of course, Professor Zalul, water system in Alexandria is a part of cultural heritage of ancient Alexandria. So it is very important to visualize it. I hope personally, of course, in the upcoming future to use such as this technique for digitizing water systems specifically. As you know, also it is very difficult even to access to it as it is already under the ground. You can face so many difficulty, but actually I am excited to achieve this goal.
As you know that this ancient water system in ancient Alexandria make a serious problem for collapse of many buildings. So really it should be traced correctly, and most of this will be or almost damaged. So it will be better that if we can have some even small parts of this water system, we can make documentation. It will be better for the futures.
Yes, of course, I agree completely with you, Professor Zalul. Even, you know, just 5 cisterns of water are listed in the by the Ministry of Antiquities, but there are so many. I have access to to so many cisterns and other water system components in Alexandria that are preserved to be listed as well, and also documented. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's move to the last presentation by Dr. Fukami. That will be entitled as Preserving Materials as Resources and Attempt through Kalawon VR project and database of historical monuments in Islamic Cairo. It is a shared presentation by Dr. Wakaku Kumakura in Tokyo University for Foreign Studies, and Dr. Naoko Fukami, Director of GSBS Station in Cairo. So please, Dr. Fukami. Dr. Fukami, please unmute.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, okay, please, go ahead, go ahead.
Thanks, so Dr. Mohammed. I am Naoko Fukami. I am a director of JSPS office in Cairo. And the Mohammed stays 2 years by JSPS fund. And perhaps the 2 years is very fruitful for him, I think. And Yano Sensei, thanks so much to help the Dr. Mohammed. And I am architecture historian, especially Islamic architectures, and now I am focusing on historic Cairo. Today, I present as a representative of Wakako-san, Dr. Kumakura. So today, I'd like to talk about two projects. First, the Crown VR project is creating virtual walkthrough of some of historic Cairo most magnificent buildings. The Crown VR project takes its name from Mamluk Sultan Kalaun, who ruled Egypt and Syria at the end of the 13th century. In his childhood, Kalaun was brought as a slave to Egypt from near the Black Sea in Egypt. He trained as a soldier, eventually becoming the Sultan. He was also the founder of what can be called the Kalaun dynasty. But his descendants held the throne for around a century after his death. The subject of this project is the Kalaun charitable endowment complex built through Mortain Waqf endowment by Sultan Kalaun. The complex consists of madrasa, a mausoleum, and a hospital. Please visit our VR project website, where you can experience what it feels like to walk through the Kalaun's complex. An overarching goal of our work is to determine the best practical ways to capture, store, and make use of 3D spatial information. Existing research materials on historical literature and architecture have mostly been recorded and accessed in two-dimensional formats. A two-dimensional representation is particularly limited if the subject is an entire space, or if you also want to capture the spatial context in which an object is framed. For this task, 3D recording can be more effective than 2D recording. At the same time, for routine use in research work, it's important that 3D recording equipment used isn't too technically demanding nor prohibitively expensive. We set two goals for the first year. First, report on our experiences attempting omnidirectional photography using commonly available professional equipment. Second, combine the acquired omnidirectional images to create a VR tour walkthrough of the Kalaun complex for research and educational purposes. We conceived this VR tour as using these spherical photos with research and education in mind. The omnidirectional photos you will see were shot with Ricoh Zeta Series ZI 360-degree camera, which was released in February 2019. It's small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. With a slow software download, it can be remotely operated by a smartphone or tablet devices over a Wi-Fi connection. We had two photo shots at the site in late August 2019 and February 2020. We are greatly assisted with on-site negotiations by Dr. Mohammed also, and by Dr. Ehab, Ministry of Antiquities, and with photography by Ms. Mona in JSPS Research Station. Located throughout the VR tour are pop-up windows with additional information about points of interest in the complex. This information provides VR users with a deeper understanding of Karaman's complex's historical settings and context, and is also available through the project website. With the basic VR tour completed, the website was made available to the public in April 2020, arriving just as COVID-19 states of emergency were being announced. The response was expected. The COVID-19 crisis certainly revealed a demand for virtual environments. Given these circumstances, we could see that an important emerging issue would be discussing the best practices for sharing academic 3D data in the online world. An important focus of this project is finding ways to use the visual resources acquired. At many archaeological sites, the casual visitor is free to enter and take pictures, often with no restrictions against publishing them online. In a world where countless people, both professionals and amateurs, are constantly creating and publishing data online, if our data isn't obviously useful, it risks drowning in the noise. For that reason, we intend to consciously create content that is both easily usable and clearly useful. As a result, we have added content that allows the user to better understand the subject matter, such as glossary of technical terms used as the site, and in-depth explanations, including some in the form of illustration and mangas. We have also experimented with using illustrations to show what the buildings looked like when in use in that era. This illustration, for example, gives the viewer an idea what the hospital would have looked like when functioning. On the left, you can see what it looks like today. This was a collaborative effort by archaeology, architectural history, illustration, and historical documents specialists. These experiments taught us that illustration work is unexpectedly similar writing an academic paper. Even a single illustration is actually the product of a lot of information processing. The work of visualization distills the research down to its essence, and we consider the resulting pictures excellent findings. It does, however, raise issues. Proofing illustrations produced this way as research findings may require explaining the assessment processes involved and citing the sources referenced in their production. Academic findings must be reproducible. Thus, we came to appreciate that when creating an illustration representing a particular time and place, the reviewers must also understand the production process. We also think that reassessing how digital content is presented as academic findings in this way will open up other possibilities for development. There is currently a trend toward publishing digital content as academically edited editions. There are projects in other countries producing such materials. Stanford is developing guidelines to publish scholarly digital content in the same way as scholarly books. It aims to establish peer review standards and publication methods that will give digital format academic findings the same credibility as bound academic books. The contents are treated like books and even have ISBN reference numbers. Academic publishing growing interest in digital content seems to be related to the emergence of public humanities as an academic field. Public humanities essentially aims to advance collaborative academic activities by opening the humanities to general public. This idea itself is not new, but has a freshness in the sense that university programs are recently incorporating it as an area of study within the humanities. Japanese academia seems to be lagging in this regard, but related studies are slowly appearing. Underpinning the public humanities is a spirit of making the humanities more democratic. The idea is to open up the somewhat exclusive domain of historical materials and the knowledge they impart, so that interested non-experts can benefit from them. In that regard, the open flow of data and the development of public humanities are progressing in tandem. Public humanities also has an important role to play in promoting the protection of cultural heritage. In the interest of open data, we have also launched the database of the historical monuments in Islamic Cairo project shared through our data online. This website accessible database includes vast amount of our photos and data sets related to the historical architecture of Cairo. The images in this database are made available to the public using the International Image Interoperability Framework Interface Standard, also known as IIIF. The IIIF application programming interface allows images that might otherwise be viewable only on a particular website to be consumed from multiple sources sites and displayed within the same presentation when using any IIIF compliant viewer. It is also possible to annotate specific locations in images with text and additional images. This slide shows a floor plan supplemented with a building exterior photographs. Using floor plan and photo combinations like this will allow users of our Islamic architectural database to get a better understanding of where exactly the photo were taken. In closing, I'd like to mention the future goals of these projects. The first goal is building an ecosystem for available information. Metadata tags in particular are crucial when creating a shared database. In our project case, the more specific and significant the metadata tagging of these historical buildings is, the more valuable the database becomes as a resource. This, of course, requires multiple metadata tags to be added to each image. But there are limitations to manual labor when working with over 10,000 images. So we are currently working toward machine learning models that can automatically recognize architectural features in images and generate the appropriate annotated metadata tags. The second goal is populating our virtual reproductions of architectural spaces with the appropriate virtual objects. We believe it would be particularly meaningful if we are able to collect and present within our virtual representations of historical buildings the historical items that once existed there, but now reside in a scattering of locations. If we can bring this information separately stored in facilities around the world into our virtual environment and display the space with the objects that once filled it, it could prompt in the interpretations and move research forward. To that end, the project is considering placing 3D images of these museums pieces inside the VR tour. Naturally, this will require the cooperation of the museums. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Fukama, for this very interesting presentation. And now, if any one of participants has a question or comment, please go ahead. Any comment, questions?
Yes, Dr. Muhammad, just raise my hand.
Okay, please, Dr. Islam.
Thanks so much, Dr. Fukami. My question about the database of historical Islamic monument in Cairo. It is open for it is open and access for all people, public people, or just for we have to use a username or password?
No. It's open. I will send you the site by chat.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Dr. Fukami.
Okay, any other comments or question?
I have another question, please.
Please.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Fukami, for your questions and for your nice presentation. I have a question about the annotations or using the machine learning for the annotations. Are you need to just use the machine learning for making the annotation process?
So this is not my major, but the Nakamura-san is in charge of this work, and I am like an architecture historian. I am manpower labor. I annotate many things from the photos, and machine can learn from our words.
Okay,
it will be.
Okay, answer the question. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you very much. Quite interesting talk. I have one question about time dimension. So this is I think that in Egypt there are many dynasties. So how about the change of dynasty? Just I guess the landscape and the function of buildings is changed. Depends on the time period. In your project, do you have any time dimension for the same building?
Yes. For the current VR project, we have to think about what is the reconstruction at the 19th century and early 20th century. What is the change, what had changed, and before that, what's that? Like that one is one one thing to challenge, but not yet we cannot do. But we from the Ministry of Antiquities has so many the data, so that it is better to compare the 19th century and the early 20th century photos and now. It is one thing. And for the Cairo historic database, as a historic database, as that one is based on the maps. Mm-hmm. For the maps, the earliest maps is 15th century, late of 15th century, but only the picture, not how to say, like cannot be the layered. So that we use now we use Napoleon's map. It is the early 19th century, published in 1822, but it measured the late 18th century to early 19th century. After that, we want to duplicate the 1938 map. It was surveyed 1938 and the published 1953. But the data is belonged to the to Misaha, so that we are now making the GIS data from that one, and to duplicate that one, we are intending to that. And the time is very important thing, I think. So for me, architectural historian, so that to reach the founding date is most important. But the architecture and urban fabric is changing through the time, so that it is very difficult to cut when not the point, perhaps the line, so that we have to challenge to that, I think.
Thank you very much. Actually, you need huge historical data for creating the, including the time dimension. So actually, our Basel Kyoto project is quite difficult to deciding the time slice of timing of creating the 4D GIS. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, 矢野先生。初めてお目にかかれてありがとうございます。
Okay, any last question or comment? Okay, so this Yano Sensei had delivered the last question and discussion with Dr. Fukami, and now we would like to open the workshop for just for 5 minutes for discussion and comments for all participants. If you like to ask something, comment anything, please go ahead. No comments or recommendation?
Okay.
Okay. So now we are going to close and wrap up.
No. Just one comment here.
Okay, please.
Actually, thank you very much for very interesting talks from speakers. So I think in Japan, quite similar project we have. So, and I think almost same technology we use. So next step regarding the collaboration research with Japan, Egypt, especially EJUST and our university. So we would like to plan to collaborate international comparison research using the same tool and the same issues. So that is the next challenge with us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Yano Sensei. We have a comment from Dr. Islam.
Thanks, Dr. Muhammad, and thank for all colleagues and organizer for this great workshop today. Just it's a recommendation that now we are in the midst of COP26 climate change in Glasgow that's running now. My recommendation is to integrate the climate change scenarios in the future to be a part of our strategic planning and our preservation and conservation work for the cultural heritage in all in Egypt and Japan all over the world. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad.
Thank you, Dr. Islam, for these valuable comments. Of course, actually, this is one of our goals in the future, launching from Kaibai Citadel project itself. Actually, our project in Kaibai is not only for visualize or a virtual reality tour for tourism and museum and so on, but also for as a first step forward to modelize and create a change model, if we can say, and sustainable model for Kaibai Citadel as cultural heritage sites at risk, basically, or anticipated risk, if we can say, because we need to be more optimistic with the future. But in collaboration with Professor Mona as one of, and depends on her expertise, professional expertise in environmental aspect, and in collaboration with Ritsumeikan University, even with Nariaj and Archaeology and so on, we have interdisciplinary approach to deal with such this issue. Basically launching from, as I have mentioned before, launching from Kaibai project.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad.
You're welcome. So, Professor Mona, please.
Yes, I want to thank you, Dr. Muhammad and Dr. Yano and all attendees for the fruitful discussions and interesting presentations and the organization, everything. And I second what Dr. Yano said for the future collaboration and strengthen our collaboration between Ritsumeikan University and EJUST, achieving Goal 17. Partnership.
Okay, thank you, Professor Mona. Dr. Gad, Professor Gad, please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Muhammad, Professor. Yes, I'm here. First, I apologize for internet inconsistency. Do you hear me?
Yes, Professor Gad, go ahead.
Okay. I'm really thank you, Dr. Muhammad, Professor Yano, Professor Mona, and all speakers of today's workshop. It was really great to learn about many progress for digitizing of heritage sites, not only in Egypt, but in other places as well. And again, I'm just assuring that we at Nariaj are ready to extend our collaboration in bilateral or even multilateral with EJUST, with NARS, with Ritsumeikan, with any other entity, governmental, private, or even individual researchers to maximize our effort and our facilities to enhance the image and not only documentation of heritage site, but as well as exploring, preserving, solving or mitigating hazard and risk. My colleague mentioned about seismic risk at Kaibai Citadel. Of course, we had many other similar cases at different places, not only Kaibai. Groundwater seepage as well, degradation due to many other environmental issues. It should be addressed through integrated collaboration. We are ready to do our best together with all of you. And I'm really thank you once again for this very interesting workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Gad. We also emphasize your point of view, and we are looking for more cohesive collaboration forward to preserve and develop our cultural heritage assets, even in Egypt or Japan, by conducting such this collaboration in the future. And before closing, we would like to have just 1.5 minutes, maybe less than, to share the video, but this time with sound, about the promotion of Kaibai.
Mohammed, no sounds.
No sound.
No sounds.
Without sound.
Mohammed, there's before sharing, you check the sound.
It insists to play without sound. Yeah, no problem.
Yes, a moment. Once again. Okay.
Check the sound box. That's great.
Perfect.
It's okay now.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience and for your joining us today. And we are looking forward to extend our discussion and collaboration with email or other communication means and so on to maximize the output of this workshop. Thanks for having all of you all over these 3 hours. Okay, have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Shukran.